All right, today's video is learning to use different tools for your pinch pot. I have a plastic rib tool. It's a little bit more firm. Some rib tools are really flexible. At this stage, you need a firm rib tool. The next tool is a metal rib tool. These tend to be a little bit more sharp, and they are really good for when you're trying to smooth out details or remove clay. The next tool is a paddle, and of course the banding wheel is going to be quite helpful for working on all different sides of your ceramic pinch pot. Now the first thing that I want to do is I am using my thumb to go into the bottom, and I'm using this motion to pull clay from the bottom towards the top. Once I have gotten it to about 3/8 inch all the way around, then I know I'm ready for some smoothing and shaping. One thing to know about a banding wheel when you are using one is that your clay will almost always stick to it. If you try to lift your clay straight up off of your banding wheel, it's going to suction the bottom to the banding wheel, and then your bottom will fall out. Here's the way I remove mine from the banding wheel. See how I'm twisting it off? So I'm sliding it so then my bottom doesn't fall out. All right, so I have about 1.5 pounds of clay here, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put it upside down, and I'm gonna try to use the lines on my banding wheel to guide me that it is in the center. And then the first thing I'm gonna do is take my paddle, and I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna tap, 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 tap all along the way. And what I'm trying to get is a uniform shape. So when I see one side is sticking out more than the other, this is part of how I'm gonna make it symmetrical, or same on all of the sides. And I'm spinning the wheel and tapping as I go. I can also tap the very bottom. Some of us are actually going to keep the bottoms flat. Others, like myself, are going to eventually make that bottom pointy, like I have demonstrated for my pointy bottom planter. So using a paddle is going to be really helpful in shaping. It's one of the quicker ways to be able to also smooth out the sides. I first started with this top edge, and then I'm going to move closer to the bottom edge. And again, I'm just trying to make it symmetrical or uniform shape. Same on all sides. And I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, trying not to lift straight off. And now I'm just going to do a little more shaping. I'm just pinching the edges here. And now I'm going to take my paddle and I'm going to shape it some more. Your clay is at the plasticity stage, so it is wobbly. You can move it and shape it very, very easily. As it begins to harden over the next few days, you will see that you have to do all of your shaping when it is really wet. All right, so I'm just going around spinning some kind of fast and just getting a basic shape down, and it's looking very symmetrical to me. Still has rough edges, so let me go ahead and show you the things that I'm looking at. So if you look at the sides, there's some cracks, there's some little dents, but it has a pretty uniform shape. That's something that is a good starting point. Next, I'm going to begin thinning and smoothing. I'm going to take my plastic rib tool, and this is where I'm going to use my outer hand or my opposing hand, left hand, to support the outer edge. And then as I go on the inside, watch how I spin my wheel. And I'm going to be spinning it and smoothing the inside. Now I'm just letting it pull some clay off of the walls of the inside and making it nice and smooth. Now I'm going to hold it so that you can see it a little bit better on the inside. Let's see here. So hopefully you can see some of those details. I have another spot that might make it easier to see. All right, so I'm pulling clay off using that tool I'm going to go ahead and set that aside for now. And again, I'm going to go in the inside. This is thinning my walls and smoothing it out. At this point, everybody has about 3/8 inch thickness. We will eventually, when it is leather hard, thin it to 1/4 of an inch. For right now, you do not want it to go much thinner. And then I'm also going to use this to smooth the very bottom. The next thing I'm going to be using, as I have finished smoothing the inside and thinning it to where it looks good. I know Miss Beer does it really fast, really easy, because I've done it many times. Just like those who have done sports. You have had lots of practice with your sports. Well, I've had a lot of practice with pinch pots. So it goes real easy and fast for me. For many of my students, this thinning aspect is the hardest part of making a pinch pot. Knowing and understanding what is too thick and what is too thin. So right now, I want you to be able to see that inside, and again, I'm going to twist it off of my banding wheel so it doesn't stick. Okay, let's see if I can get you to see those walls. There's some imperfections in there, but you're at least able to see a little bit of that, how smooth it is getting on the inside. Okay, so that top edge is looking really rough. That's the next thing I'm going to work on. All right, so I have a paddle that can be used to tap, 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 tap on the top. I'm going to use that to give me one level top. Now, look what happened when I did that. It made that top edge look really uneven. This is where I like to use my metal rib tool. The metal rib tool, again, is sharper, and it just tends to pull clay off really nicely. And I'm going to go real slow, and I'm just pulling off some of the extra clay along that top rim, or some would also call that the mouth of your pinch pot. As I go around and around, I can see it becoming more uniform on the inside. And I keep going back and forth. You're going to see I'm going inside and I'm working on the outside. I'm working on the inside, then again on the outside. Smoothing out imperfections. These tools are going to make this pinch pot nice and smooth and really perfect it so that it looks very professional. All right, now I have this little extra bit of clay along that top edge. I'm just going to take my rib tool on the flat edge, and I'm going to go around real slow. It's really easy for a metal rib tool to cut into your clay. If you go real slow that first time that you're removing some of that clay, it does make it a bit easier. Eventually, you'll be able to spin your banding wheel, and it's not going to catch on all of the different parts of the clay. You'll understand more as you're working on it. While I'm verbalizing all of this stuff and you're watching, it's a very different thing when you actually start doing it yourself. I have little bumps right here, right here. I'm trying to smooth those out. And then again, I said I'm going to go inside, outside, back and forth. It's very redundant and repetitive. And that is very, very common and a good thing because you're constantly shaping and molding and making it a symmetrical vessel. As you get to firmer clay, you'll see that removing clay isn't going to be such a challenge. Like it's going to hold its shape better as it begins to dry and become leather hard. Again, we get clay at the leather hard stage by number one, handling it. Number two, the exposure to air. Sometimes people really like to harden their clay a little bit faster. Occasionally people use hair dryers or some other type of like a heat gun. I don't recommend that for beginners for sure. You really don't need to speed up the process. For you guys, the importance right now for today is to begin thinning, shaping, and smoothing. So those three words, thinning, shaping, smoothing. That's your goal. 3/8 inch is a good amount of thickness. It will get thinner, but not today. Right now, the level of thickness that I see at the rim, that's what you're going for. Will it get thinner? Absolutely. If yours is thinner than this right now, that's okay, but the chances are that it may start to fan out, crack, or become, a little bit difficult for you. If it falls apart, that's okay. That's very, very common. Break it back down, pat it into a ball, re-wedge it, and then you can go ahead and make another pinch pot. It's good for you to do that process multiple times. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so to complete our video, what I'm gonna do is just finish off my edges with another swipe with the metal rib tool. And then go again from the outside. And I'm just smoothing. Eventually, I become a little bit faster with how I manipulate that banding wheel. When you actually are using your banding wheel, you'll get familiar with what works and what doesn't work. But again, the trick is having your ceramic piece in the center. If it's off center, you'll notice real quickly. If you have no idea, call me over and I'll help you. All right, just a couple more swipes with this. It's still imperfect, it's still lumpy, but it is getting in the right shape. And just to finish us off, I'm gonna twist this off and show you the edges, how mine is looking. Okay, see how smooth that is becoming? It's not done, but we're getting there, right? This is a really good day 2 of a pinch pot. And like I said, you will be able to change and shape that more when the time comes.